It's Godzilla!
It looks like Godzilla, but due to international copyright laws, it's not.
Still, we should run like it is Godzilla!
Though it isn't.
What's up, guys? This is Satsumi, and I'm coming to you with another deck profile this week. This week it is Kaijus. And this deck profile is a pure Kaiju deck profile. I know you probably haven't seen anything like this quite before. The main variants of this deck are Yosenju Kaijus, and I've seen Ninja Kaijus be popular as well. So let's just get into it, and I'll explain my choices as I go along. As for the Kaijus, I play 3 of each. 3 Dogoran, 3 Gameciel, 3 Radian, 3 Humongous. Every single one of the Kaijus have the unique summoning aspect to their archetype, in which case you can tribute a monster in your opponent's side of the field and special summon them from your hand in attack position. And then if your opponent's controls a Kaiju monster, you can special summon a Kaiju from your hand to your side of the field. However, every single one has a different separate effect that's actually pretty decent by removing Kaiju counters on the field, which you get from the field spell and the continuous trap. So Dogoran's is you get to Raigeki their field, however you can attack by removing 3 Kaiju counters from anywhere on the field. Your opponent can activate these effects too, by the way, if you give them the wrong monster at the wrong time. Gameciel, he can negate the activation of a card or effect, doesn't matter where it's from, and then banish it. So that's very disruptive. It's great against pendulum-based decks because they can't get the cards back typically. It's not so great against Cosmos, but typically you would just run this card over by giving it to your opponent and dealing it with it that way. So, yeah. 3 Radian, the multi-dimensional Kaiju. He can remove 2 Kaiju counters from anywhere on the field, special summon 1 Radiant token. Level 7 Fiend type Dark, 2800 attack, and it can't be used as synchro material. This is the OTK centric card. It's wonderful when you're just trying to push, and it works great with one of the techs that I put into this deck. 3 Humongous, the Sticky String Kaiju. When your opponent normal or special summons a monster, you can remove 2 Kaiju counters from anywhere on the field, and until the next turn, those monsters cannot attack. Also, their effects are negated. So that's very, very disruptive against pendulum heavy decks or decks that like to special summon a lot one turn. Mind you, these effects, with the exception of, let's see here, of Dogoran and Radian, specifically Gameciel and Humongous, they can activate their effects multiple times per turn as long as you have enough Kaiju counters on field, which is awesome. Also, they don't target, which means you can get around the big ships in Cosmos pretty easily. You can also get around Magispectors easily as well. So anyway, moving on to the support, I play 3 Calculator. This works great with Radiant, really works great with any other Kaiju in general anyway. If you have Dogoran or Gameciel on your side of the field, Calculator becomes a 3,000 point beater. If you have Radiant or Humongous on the field, he becomes a 2,700. If you have a Radiant and a token, which is very likely, and this actually happens quite a lot, he then becomes a 4,800 beater. So the Calculator is a great push card, great big card to just get rid of your opponent's monsters with. The one downside to the Calculator is that he just gets ruined by Ragna Zero and anything that likes to pop cards or mess with life points. So that's the problem with him, but he's still very useful regardless. Next, I played 2 Great Eagle. Through a lot of testing, there was 2 monster spots that I was like swapping cards in and out of, and I had Effect Veilers in here. I had Upstart Goblins. I even had Terraformings just to see if I could get to Waterfront faster. And eventually, I just kind of settled on Great Eagle, and just because it allows you to summon a monster when your opponent does not, that can actually do something. Grand Mole's an okay card, but you only run 1 of it. And the Calculator is only 600 point beater if he's the only monster on your side of the field, so that's not great. So Great Eagle, I chose Eagle just simply because he has more attack than anything else. And typically, Great Eagles get destroyed by monster effects, or monsters right now get destroyed by monster effects or by battle. The one problem with Great Eagle, obviously, is that he targets, and the 2 big decks right now are resistant to targeting. At least half of the deck is anyway. So that's the one problem with Great Eagle, but regardless, it's still a decent card to at least have, and then you can really use your opponent's monsters against them in a whole different way than Kaijus normally would. I also play one Neo-Spacian Grand Mole. This is in the case I don't open up with two Kaijus. If you open up with one Kaiju and a Neo-Spacian Grand Mole, the only thing you really have to worry about is opening up your field to attacks and being wary of that. So that's the one problem with that. Grand Mole is a fantastic card. So if my opponent has one monster on the field and I have any Kaiju and Grand Mole in my hand, I can tribute their monster, special summon the Kaiju, normal summon Grand Mole, attack into the Kaiju I gave to my opponent, and both return to my hand, and I lose nothing. So Grand Mole is a fantastic card for this deck. For the spells, I run 3 Kyoto Waterfront. This is a fantastic field spell card. One, it allows you to get the effects off. It's so easy to get 5 counters on this card. It's so easy. And it's so hard. This card is very, very hard to get rid of to begin with. So you just have to remove 1 counter to prevent it from being destroyed. So Kyoto Waterfront is amazing. Plus it searches out your Kaijus. So that's awesome. I've run 3 Honor Seal. This is a great card, especially if you only open up with 1 Kaiju, which does happen. Basically, it lets you get rid of your opponent's monsters with little to no cost to you. So Honor Seal, great card. 3 MST, don't need to explain that. 1 creature swap. I wasn't sure about running this in the beginning. Same with Book of Moon, but I found out that these were actually quite useful, especially if I gave my opponent a let's see here, like a calculator. If I summon a calculator and my opponent had 1 monster on the field, I would want to give my opponent the calculator and take the Kaiju that I gave to them. So creature swap, great card. It really leaves some nasty combos. Mind Control, also a great card. Honestly, like, these are just amazing. However, if Mind Control was at more than 1, I'd be running more than 1 and Creature Swap would not be here. Mind Control is a fantastic card just simply because it lets me steal cards from my opponent. Doesn't necessarily have to be the Kaijus to steal them back or to get rid of them if you already control a Kaiju yourself, because you can only control 1 Kaiju at a time. But it also opens you up to Xyz plays and Synchro plays depending on the situation. 1 Book of Moon, I shouldn't have to explain that. For the Continuous Trap, this guy just came out in the new set, Dimensions of Chaos. So I'll explain what this guy does. Once per turn, if less than 3 Kaiju counters are on this card, which is important, you can target 1 Kaiju monster on the field, change it to face down defense position, then place 1 Kaiju counter on this card. Max 3. That's the important part. If you have 3 counters on this card, then you can't use it, which is not good. You want to be using the counters as much as possible to just typically if you're hitting 3 counters, you're losing, and that's that's the problem with this card. However, the extra draw power warrants it to play at 3, because then you can like bait your opponent to MSTing it or whatever. So Kaiju Capture Mission is a great card. Yeah, he also gives you the draw 2, so that's great. 2 Phoenix Chain, don't need to explain that. 2 Remove Brainwashing. These are the 4th and 5th Honor Seal, and it's pretty nasty to activate them on your opponent's turn, especially if they feel like if you think they're going to go into a Xyz play or something. So Remove Brainwashing, great card. For the one-offs, 1 Solemn, 1 Bottomless, 1 Compulse. Compulse is undoubtedly the best one out of these 3. Just for returning the Kaijus back to your hand if you don't have something that can really defend. Bottomless is a decent card, and so is Solemn. So yeah, that's why they're there. For the extra deck, rank 7s are here just for theoretical purposes in terms of like what you think you're going to go up against. In general, you really don't need an extra deck. The effects of all these Kaijus are just so ridiculously overpowered. There's a reason why they require counters in order for them to get off. So I don't play any rank 8s because there's only 1 deck that plays level 8s, and that's Cosmos. And typically with Cosmos, they tend to cycle through Destroyer just to activate his effect, to target himself so he can special summon out other things. So that's why that's there. And then they just cycle it back to their hand with Cosmo Town. So that's why I don't play any rank 8s. But anyway, I play 1 Red Ice Fire Metal Dragon just to put pressure on my opponent. 1 Master Blades. 1 Draco Sack, 1 Gaia Charger, and 1 Big Eye. For the Synchros, I play Synchros because I play a Plague Shredder in my extra deck. It just, again, it's a case scenario type thing if I feel like I need it. There's also another variant that you can use with Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit and E-Telly where you can just special summon this out and tune pretty easily. If you have the money, by all means do this because it is a slightly better thing to do sometimes. You can take out the Great Eagles and take out the creature swap for a E-Telly. I'm just doing it because this is actually the very much cheaper option and usually what's more open to a lot of players. Seeing that Ghost Ogre is anywhere between $70 and $90 right now, so that's why I didn't put it into the deck. Anyway, I play one Hastor. This is the third Phoenix Chain that I didn't have room for. It's a good card. It's very easy to go into. It stops your opponent cold. Make sure that there's going to be a monster on the field for you to use next turn to special summon a Kaiju. So Hastor is a must in my opinion. One Catastor, one Armades. From here on out, with the exception of Leo down here, I just put 2 of every level with the exception of level 9. I'll explain that towards the end. Of the ones that I want to see the most. For the level 5s, one Catastor, one Armades. Level 6s, I put Metaphys Horus and one Goyo Guardian. Goyo Guardian is just a generally great rank 6, level 6, excuse me. But Metaphys Horus, the reason why I put this one in is because of Mind Control and Creature Swap. I don't know what my opponent's going to be playing, and if they're playing a deck that has Pendulum monsters, that could be very, very useful to me, especially with the Pendulum effect, which, if you don't know, your opponent chooses one monster they control and gives control of it to you, but it cannot attack this turn. So that's extremely good for this deck. That's why I play it. One for the level 7s, one Black Rose and one Clear Wing. Don't explain these. This is like to the better level 7s. For the level 8s, one Stardust Spark and one Scrap. I felt like these were the most relevant. Especially with Scrap and Great Eagle being able to have a little bit of good synergy there. And Stardust Spark is a good helmet card anyway. And then I have Leo because it's a decent card. And it's very easy to go into. I just have to sub in the Plague Spreader and special summon a level 8 Kaiju, and boom, I have it. The reason why I don't play level 9s, by the way, is because there are really only 2 level 9s that I would even consider playing, and that's Trishula and Cloud Castle for this deck. And Cloud Castle can be somewhat detrimental to you in certain scenarios, and you can't summon Trishula with this deck because you don't have the right cards for it. Yes, it's possible to do it, but the likeliness is just so ridiculously low that there's no point in wasting extra deck space for it. Anyway, I want to talk about these 3 down here. These are possible draw power cards that you guys can throw in if you so choose. Magic Planner, because you play 7 continuous traps in the main deck, and who knows how many in your side deck, just depends. Trade in because in this deck I run 8 level 8s and not 8, 6 level 8s and Sacred Sword of 7 stars because I run 6 level 7s. I do not like these in this deck just simply because I want to have Kaijus in my hand, and it's just so ridiculously risky to discard or banish them from your hand because this deck doesn't have a way to get them back. So it's just not as good. The deck is already consistent enough where it doesn't matter anyway, so that's fine. Magic Planner, I could argue better for it. You don't always... Typically, you'll have 2 Kaiju Capture Mission in your hand at some point, and you don't always need to remove Brainwashing. Usually, it's just a one-turn thing, and then you steal a monster back, and it doesn't matter. So that's honestly the most viable one, in my opinion, out of the 3 that I've shown here. You can play Upstarts, you can play Maxis, that's up to you, but out of these 3, these are the ones that I've seen the most in terms of the variants and whatnot. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching this deck profile. As always, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and as always, have a nice day.